In a centralized, entity, well, okay, well, it goes to a centralized entity. At least you know where that is, and there's an obvious profit motive and everything else. Any decentralized system, it is extremely difficult to work out the incentives in such a way that it works for everybody. Because if you make it too cheap, what's going to happen? Everyone's going to register every domain name that they could think of, like for a penny or whatever. If you make it too expensive.
This is where you and I disagree. And this is one of the reasons I wanted you on here, because I don't understand you on this point. So you say if you make it too cheap, everybody's going to go out and register all these domains. So where's the problem? You are, by definition, if you are a Bitcoin maximum,
well, so
here's the one to find yourself as, you must believe in free market capitalism. And so
that's fine. That's totally fine. It just becomes very unusable the more you have, right? Like if you register 2 billion domain names because they're like a fraction of a penny each, then everything's going to be slower. Every DNS server needs to serve 2 billion records, right? Like that's not cheap. And updating all of that, propagating all of that, who's paying for all that stuff? There are problems with scalability that you have to think about in any decentralized system. The minute you have, you have things that are that cheap, and like making sure that all of the incentives are aligned and stuff like that is not easy. Like if you are able to register domains for a fraction of a penny, adds like all sorts of like Sybil attacks or whatever.
Exactly. And they should never be that cheap.
Yeah, so you have to be careful about like design. What's that?
The approximate cost today, .de, the German domain extension, is probably the most efficiently run, I would say. I'm speculating, but that's probably not that far from inaccurate. And the cost to operate a large scale domain extension, a registry, comes out to somewhere around $3 to $4 a domain. We just discussed this actually with the Internet Commerce Association, who we had on as a guest last week.
That still seems very high to me for an entry into a database, but yeah.
Well, it's because of the problems that you were just talking about, right? So yes, I mean, it's essentially an entry into a database and then an API call, but ultimately there are decisions that need to be made, and so that requires input and then subsequent output, and there's infrastructure, and there's lawsuits, and there's things that need to be done and paid for.
Yeah.